Welcome to Front Porch Forecast. Today is Friday. Wow, it's already Friday? I don't know about you, but this week has flown by. But anyway, today is Friday, July 11th. Now we have some severe weather to cover, okay? I posted a video on Wednesday about Thursday and Friday's weather. Now today's video, I am going to detail into the severe weather this afternoon, detail what is to come overnight, and a little bit into Saturday morning. Tomorrow's video, I will be covering tomorrow's severe weather and then into the weekend starting our next week. Okay, we have a lot to talk about, so I felt it was worth detailing in the whole video for today the specific areas that I think we need to be paying more attention to, being more weather aware about. Okay, since we are having some severe weather today, and we are talking about the potential of large in diameter hail, wind gusts up to 50, 60 miles an hour in some areas, and the potential for tornadoes. Now, when I look at the potential for tornadoes, I do like to take a look at the storm relative helicity. Now, the storm relative helicity is basically the measurement of the low level wind shear for a tornado to form in. And so I'm going to break it down for today on the areas I feel we need to look at the most and to keep an eye out for the most, right? So this is starting today. The darker the color, the higher the amount of wind shear, the higher amount of storm relative helicity, right? So as we go throughout the day, now this is early afternoon. Let me get my little pencil here. This is early afternoon. Right here is my main concern. Iowa, you have been my feature this week. There's little areas here, mostly around Des Moines. Yeah, right there in Des Moines. And then over into Illinois, I'm a little nervous about some of those. And up into Michigan, I am worried about those. Now, we do have some that are going to be sliding into Minnesota in just a moment. But this right here is early afternoon. So if you're in Iowa, northern Illinois, and Michigan, you need to stay weather aware in the afternoon, especially if you are starting to head to work around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, around that range. Now, let's look into a little bit more into the afternoon. So this one right here is a little later. Now, you see those values for Iowa and for Michigan actually increased a little bit and shifted eastward, right? Because the storm is moving eastward. Now, we do have a little bit that popped up in Minnesota. Now, this one, later on in the afternoon, is when you're needing to watch out for these storms, okay? Minnesota, later on in the afternoon, Iowa, northern Illinois, and Michigan, you need to start looking around 2, 3 o'clock on your weather. As we keep going into the night, these storms do start to dissipate. They start to go away as you go later into the night. But once again, let's backtrack it back there. This is the beginning of the day around 11-ish. And then we're going to go into early afternoon around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Then we're going to go later afternoon, okay? So Iowa, just keep an eye out. Northern Illinois, Michigan, and a little bit of Minnesota. Those are my main spots for today's forecast of severe weathers. Those are the potentials for the tornadoes to form and have energy and fuel to continue on. Now, there are multiple areas across the United States that are also going to experience flash flooding. There's a lot of rain getting dumped in a short amount of time, so be prepared for that. And wind gusts up to 50 to 60 miles an hour. We also have some that can produce large diameter hail, even golf ball sized hail. So keep an eye out for that. Pay attention to your local weather station or your local weather radio if you have a weather radio as well. But my main concerns for today with tornadogenesis, the formation of a tornado, are going to be Iowa, kind of the whole state, more in the Des Moines area, northern Illinois, Michigan, and a little bit into Minnesota, northern area, okay? It could be anywhere over here as well, but our main concern is going to be this northwest quadrant of Minnesota as well. All right, now that we went over the storm relative helicity, I wanted to compare that to the precipitation model, just so I can kind of show you where those spots that I was concerned about with Iowa, Northern Illinois, Michigan, and Minnesota on both the storm relative helicity and the precipitation. Now, this is early afternoon here. We do have Iowa, that little pocket right there where we saw that storm relative helicity could be. So we want to watch out there, a little bit of Northern Illinois, a little bit of Michigan as well. And then, of course, we see the afternoon pop-up storms in Minnesota. Now, these are the areas mainly I want to watch out for tornado production, tornadogenesis, as we say. That is not to say that the storms later on in the afternoon cannot be severe in other areas, right? So let's look at later on in the afternoon. So this is later on in the afternoon. Some of these storms have intensified. Some more storms have popped up. We see these right here have intensified. Of course, parts of Iowa, Northern Illinois, and Michigan. So these have intensified. Now, that is not to say that this storm right here and this storm right here and a little bit over here and in Mississippi as well, that those cannot be severe storms. Now, these storms could produce wind gusts up to 50 to 60 miles an hour. They can produce a lot of lightning, which lightning can be deadly as well if you're outdoors. So be sure to, if you hear thunder roar, go indoors. Follow all these little catchy phrases. They have the potential for flash flooding. They have the potential for, pea-size to golf-size ball hail. So these areas, yes, they're going to experience severe storms, but my main concern for tornadoes today, on Friday, is going to be into Iowa, Northern Illinois, more Iowa, Michigan, but can't rule it out for Northern Illinois because that storm relative helicity. And we can't rule it out for upper Minnesota as well. Also, I do want to point out these storms that pop up, that does not mean that these storms cannot produce a tornado. There's always a chance. It just might not be as strong as in these other areas that I showed you on the graphic before. Now let's go into Friday night into Saturday morning. We kind of see these storms are staying intense and they are traveling through. In my next video, I do plan on going more in depth for Saturday leading into Sunday. I just really wanted to go over Friday for today, since today we do have that severe threat up in the Central Plains. But I did want to just show you kind of what's to come with Saturday. So this is Saturday afternoon, early afternoon right here. Now, in the morning time for Saturday, we do have some scattered, isolated storms. These should not be too severe. We do have some pockets that might pop up with gusty winds and lightning and things like that. But these aren't the main concerns. When we head into the afternoon, so this is later afternoon here, we do start to see some severe storms popping up across the United States, right? But we are going to go into much more detailed breakdown in my next video for that. But it goes into Saturday night. They start to intensify, okay? So we have a lot of rain yesterday, a lot of rain today, a lot of rain coming tomorrow. So we're kind of in an active area right now where all this rain is pushing through and the soil is very saturated in a lot of these areas. Chicago is kind of one of my areas that I'm a little nervous about with flash flooding because they did have an event already and then they have these storms coming through again. When the soil is so saturated, it's like a wet sponge. It can't soak up anymore, right? It cannot absorb any more water. So that is another reason that causes some of these flash flood warnings and these devastating events, because where's the water going to go? Especially when we have these severe tracks for multiple days in the same areas. So Iowa as well, they have been getting a lot of rain for yesterday, today, and into tomorrow. So I'm worried about Iowa, and I'm worried about kind of Illinois, and a little bit of Indiana. But Chicago's kind of one of my main concerns since they already had that flash flood warning earlier this week. So just keep in mind, I know we've been talking about flash floods all week, and it is not the topic that anybody wants to be going over right now, but keep in mind that these areas can be impacted. If storms are coming to your region, just keep an eye out, okay? Just keep an eye out on your weather stations, all their forecasts, if you have a weather radio, and also just have a plan. Come up with a plan. Figure out what you would do in any event. If a tornado comes, what room of the house are you going to be in? Where are you going to put the animals? Do you have tennis shoes on? Do you have helmets for your kids? If flash flooding comes, do you have a way to get out? Is your road only a one-way road that's covered by a creek? You might need to think about these things. Maybe spend some time in an area where you know you can be safe during these storms. Lightning. Make sure you're not on lakes, even though these storms are going to be later in the afternoon, and you might enjoy the lake that morning. Keep in mind that lightning can still strike 10 miles away from an actual storm. So it could be shiny and blue, and all of a sudden lightning strikes near you, okay? So if you're on the lakes, on a river, doing whatever you're doing, Saturday morning, Friday morning, I know we're getting into the weekend. People like to do weekend activities. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying be aware, be cautious. Keep an eye out on the weather, okay? But thank you so much for joining us today. If you are a weather geek like me, a weather nerd, love this stuff, need a forecast for your area, be sure to like and subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you can get notified when I have another weather update, especially with all these severe storms happening. It never hurts to get another update and another forecast that you can observe and see, is your area impacted? But once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you next forecast.